Hello, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to give a quick little screencast here to share some information about family history and genealogical work, and specifically finding names to take to the temple to perform temple ordinances. And in doing so, I want to start off with a little bit of a true confession. Not something I'm proud of, but a true confession nonetheless. I used to be in the camp that when people would talk about doing your family history work and finding an ancestor to take to the temple, a name to take to the temple, I would usually tune out at that point, and I wouldn't really listen much anymore because I would think I've got it all done. All of my ancestors' work is complete, and I'd think that, and honestly, if I go down my direct ancestral line, then yes, the work is complete. I, I I have ancestors that have been members of the church for a long time. They did a lot of genealogical work and took the names to the temple for the people they could find, and so a lot of it is done and complete. However, I shared this view with a coworker one time, and that coworker then taught me some things that really helped open my eyes and see that I have a lot to contribute and a lot to do when it comes to family history work. And so I'm going to call the rest of this little presentation here Family History Expanding the Family Tree. And I'll point out that the data and the graphics that I'll share with you here were given by Elder Alan F. Packer of the 70 at a talk at Brigham Young University on the 30th of July, 2013. So in doing that, let me just point this out. If I go down my direct ancestors, my direct family tree going back 10 generations, then that's what it would look like. In the first generation, there's just me, and then my parents, so that's 2 people. My grandparents, that's 4 more. My great-grandparents, that's 8. So on and so forth. Back to the 10th generation, I would have 1,024 people on this last line of my family tree, or 512 couples that I look at. So for a total, if you add all these numbers up, on that 10 generations of my family tree, there would be 2,047 people. So when I shared with a coworker that all of the temple work for my family had been done, he kind of smiled at me and he said, I can believe that that number is done, that your 2,047 is probably done. I could believe that. He said, but let me expand your view a little bit. He said, if we take just one couple from these 512 couples out here at the end of the 10th generation, he said, if we just take one of those couples and we look at their descendancy, then we would see them here, and it would go off into their parent or to their children and down the line. If we exclude the 110-year window that you can't request people's work for, there'd be roughly 16,384 possible people in that family tree. And that's assuming a conservative 4 children per family. And I say that's conservative because 10 generations ago, a family with 4 children would have been considered a relatively small family. But if you figure an average of 4 children per family, then that's 16,384 possible people. But remember, that's just from one of those 512 married couples at the end of my 10-generation chart. And so if we do the math out and multiply that by 512 for the 512 married couples, then all of the cousins from my 10th generation would total 8,388,608 people. And again, that excludes the 110-year window of people that I can't request yet because I'm not the direct descendant of them, and things like that. Now, if we figure even that only 5% of these people have records that are in Family Search, that number would still be pretty large. In fact, it would be 419,430 people that I could find records for and request the work for to take to the temple. And so my coworker, he was kind enough to say, your family may have done this 2047. I can believe that. He said, but I have a hard time believing that your family has done this 8.3 million or even the 420,000 that would be this 5% of people with records. You add into that the church is doing an astounding amount of indexing work to the point where they're adding over 1 million names to the Family Search database on a daily basis. And it's almost 2 million, in fact, that they add on a daily basis. Well, that really fills in that expanded family tree of all of my cousins and things like that. Well, I was kind of excited after my coworker showed me this a number of years ago, and then I had to come up with another excuse for not getting involved in family history work. And so I came up with the comment, well, I just don't have time to do that kind of research. And it's interesting the way the Lord works. I then had some health concerns come up that put me out of work for 6 weeks and laid me up at home. And so I learned how to use Family Search fairly quickly to entertain myself and to get started on this work. By no means have I found all these 8.3 million people in the 10 generations of my family tree, but I'm working at it. And if you would like to have some help in learning how to find those distant cousins in your family tree to prepare their names to take to the temple, let me know or contact another member of the ward that's a family history consultant, and they'll be happy to walk you through that and have them help. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope it helps you to prepare as we prepare names to take back to the temples when we can go and do that on a regular basis again. Make it a great day.